art could be one of the accessible mediums to allow people to rethink and emotionally connect with the victims who are suffering far away from our living place.
Dear friends, welcome to another edition of Form 2000 Online Chat. Today I have with me Loretta Lau, who was born in British Hong Kong. She has worked as a visual arts teacher for 7 years, witnessing big changes since Hong Kong's handover to China from the UK colonization. In 2018, she established herself in Prague as a political performance artist. Her relocation made her join one of the most recent waves of diaspora of the post-80s generation. Loretta, I think I would like to start from your art career and what made you decide to channel your activism through your art.
Yeah, thanks so much, Asus, for having me here. So you talk about that I was a teacher. Yeah, I enjoy my teaching time with my art student very much. However, my students started to hate art after the public exam. So at that moment, I started to ask myself, why? Why this person who loves art and hoped to nourish the next generation to express themselves through art? Yet I made my students get excellent grade in the public examination, but they at the same time frustrated to be artists for their entire life. I question the arts education system. I don't believe in the system anymore, which they strangles creativity and passion. Since then, I have developed a huge resistance towards the society, which puts economic growth and competitiveness as the first priority, creative and talent as last. So my turmoil forced me to leave Hong Kong and became an art student again here in Prague to see how the other education system could lead me forward. So if you talk about that, what channeled me to become an performance artist, or you can say a political performance artist, I would say it's like one day that I came across to DOCS, the Center for Contemporary Arts, and I was really surprised to see a booth of Liu Xiaobo, which was made by Czech sculptor Maria Shimonowa. Liu Xiaobo, he was the only Chinese dissident who became a Nobel Peace Prize laureate in 2010. And I remember that there are two sculptures of Liu Xiaobo that were made and donated by anonymous artists in Hong Kong right after his death in Chinese custody. I was reasoning myself why that the artistic censorship, self-censorship, and the chilling effect is so critical in Hong Kong. So as a consequences, I draft a letter to DOCS self-recommending my first performance, which was called Letter to My People. In this piece, I was fully shaved my long hair off in front of 70 witnesses in the 30th anniversary of Tiananmen Square massacre, aimed to pay tribute to the people who sacrificed their life and freedom of the next generation. The fragility and vulnerability of this piece brought a powerful message to the audience. It's really surprised myself. It was 5 days before the eruption of the Hong Kong movement in 2019. That was a turning point of my artistic career to become a political artist. On the night that I received a lot of unexpected feedback from people who were questioning my why I'm doing this, why I'm sacrificing my black long hair. Some people were wondering why the massacre anniversary is so important to Hong Kong people, and some people they could not help themselves to cry at the moment. Since that day, I recognized that the might of performance art, and I started to communicate with my audience with my act. And I understood the power of art is not something we can express through facts or statistics, which cultivate my mission to confer humanity through performance art.
Wow, this is extremely powerful. I mean, just hearing we talk about this, and also I saw the pictures. Unfortunately, I have not been able to see the performance live, but when I was reading about the performance and when I saw the pictures, I mean, just the sense of it gave me goosebumps. Watching, seeing the visuals from that performance, and it made me think that this isn't just art, that you're going beyond, perhaps raising awareness, perhaps, channeling an understanding of what's happening back home, and also how severe the reality is, right, on the ground. And so it felt that what you were showing was so much deeper, so much more profound than, just performing art. And if you could say, like, what was one message, or maybe, there was more than just one message that you tried to portray with that performance, what would that be? Was it, here's what's happening and here's my solidarity, or what was it?
I would say that I want people to see themselves through me. So one of the significant insights from the interaction between me and the audience is that I was creating a space for them, but not to force them to listen to me, because I am not a politician. I am not expert to give definite opinions. Instead, I'm an artist who invites people to rethink about their life and their decision. I offer them a space to step in a particular circumstance so they can react to me, and what they choose to do in the performance would lead them to a certain result, which they could imply in the reality. Most of the time, I cannot finish the performance only by myself, but I need the audience to be part of the show. For instance, in last year, March 2020, among the first pandemic, in this quarantine period, that I worked on a project which was called Confections of Virus Isolation Days 19, in short, COVID-19. I interviewed over 160 people. I portrayed their face while they were sharing their opinions of their unique quarantine life. They became to be one of the performers in my project. Therefore, they can echo through art and get closer to their own feelings. Actually, it is an ongoing project, and the second unit will be held in this year very soon. Maybe at the time I can invite you to be part of that.
I would really love that. It would be really incredible. Thank you. Otherwise, there's so many things I want to ask as a follow-up to that, but I think I want to take a step back, and go back to, like, when I was sitting and trying to prepare myself for this interview, learning a little bit more about performing arts, learning about this relationship between activism and what it means to be an activist artist, or artist who, wants to be active. I, obviously one of the first names that came to my mind was Ai Weiwei and his art and his work that has been so successful in, elevating so much of what's happening into his into his art, into the final product of his work. And there is this quote that I found by him where he says, "If anything, art is about morals, about our belief in humanity. Without that, there simply is no art." And hearing so much of what you just said, whether it was through your performance at the docks, or, how you envision the performance and how you connect so many different elements in one, I really wanted to learn a little bit more about what you think, how much of this belief in, the humanity, or, not even putting aside the humanity, the audience that comes to watch you, to see you, how that is used by the artists like yourself in order to portray the message that you're conveying, or does that also play into you choosing the kind of message that you're trying to portray? This changing creativity process around conveying a message. And of course, as you said, you weren't enforcing your audience. They were part of the performance. So how does that all add up together? And how much of what is really happening around the world? You mentioned COVID-19, but we're just watching what's happening in Myanmar now, and then in Russia and elsewhere. How, as an artist with a passion for elevating messages, how do you turn your art into this form of activism? I mean, how does this creative process work? It's just fascinating. So if you could chime a little bit on that, that would be great.
Yeah, I think so. As you say, this right now the road is really overwhelming for us as humanity. So I want to say that is another major reason why I am continuous working in this performance is that I would like to provide my audience a space out from this overwhelming informations and images on the internet. In this world, and to give them another perspective to look at the same issue. Of course, I highly appreciate the advocate works from the politicians and impressive photos taken by the frontline journalists. However, humanity has a limit. We keep watching a lot of violence images that we will start to be indifferent. It is hard for us to spend all day, 24 hours to live in devastation. So our subconscious will start to deny our awareness and compassion. Yet we need to balance our life and also strengthen our capacity to fight for this long-term injustice. So art could be one of the accessible mediums to allow people to rethink and emotionally connect with the victims who are suffering far away from our living place. So you talk about how much I believe in humanity. I would say we are humanity itself. So we have to believe in ourselves, and we are capable to maintaining this virtue. If we don't care about humanity, human rights, so which species would be concerned about it? There is a say in the Hong Kong movement, yellow and blue are about the political stance, but black and white are about conscience. We all have this conscience. We inherited the efforts of freedom and democracy from previous generations. In this turning point towards the third decade of the 21st century, we can see our problem more explicitly. Political movement, climate change, pandemic, and so on. This is the best time ever for us to change our behaviors as an individual, to influence the people, the government from down to top, and to interfere with the stubborn institutional system.
That's incredible. I mean, that's such a powerful message to convey. And I guess my last question before we dive into a very interesting second part of this interview, which is a guided imagery performance. I mean, the meditation. I wanted to ask you what has been the response in Czech Republic to your work, but also back home. I mean, do you see there is a growing interest, but also a deeper understanding of the issues, or are you getting support and a lot of motivation? Because for this process to work, our personal ideals, our personal creativity process sometimes isn't enough, and sometimes you need more solidarity around your passion. And so I was just curious to see or ask to hear from you what have been the general response.
Yeah, so actually I was here doing the performance arts over 1 year already, and then I got quite a lot of nice feedback from the Czech citizens, and also probably on the internet that internationally that I got quite a nice feedback. But the thing is, I would like to point out is I got some online comments from the pro-China supporters. They say that my performance was too radical, which refers just to a guidance imagery public performance in Fastnaus Square. Why do they think that I am radical to tell a story about the massacre, but at the same time that they can kidnap the brutal behavior from the regime? And I'm just a mirror of the social injustice. Right now in Hong Kong, and probably in a lot of places in the world, that artistic freedom has been threatened by the dictatorship. Under the national security law, more and more artists have to drop their dedication, and it is very dangerous to put ourselves in a jail of the mind. Even if we are free walker in the city, you restrict yourself from self-censorship, that you will be live in an entire jail, and you can't have your free to be a free person and have your free will. If we don't want to see the day that we have to operate below the surface or conceal our artistic intention and integrity, artists are obligated to speak up for the justice, and particularly.
I would like you to, I guess, at this point, I mean, talking about mind and freedom, I guess, to move to the final stage of this very interesting interview, and that to have you guide us through a very interesting experience, a meditation. So I'll let you do the introduction, and you just tell me and tell the audience what we all have to do, and we're all yours.
Okay, thanks so much. So at the end, that I would like to invite also and all the audience to be part of a short online performance right now. It will be around 4 minutes, and only thing you need to do is to sit in a nice position, relax, and to follow my guidance. I wish you already sitting in a relaxed place and listen to my voice clearly. I invite you to close your eyes. Focus on your breath. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Inhale slowly. Exhale slowly. Sit straight. Notice the temperature of the air. Inhale and exhale slowly. When you inhale, the brightness gets inside your body. When you exhale, darkness goes out from your body. Inhale bright, exhale dark. Inhale bright, exhale dark. Right now, you're inside an entire brightness, this pure, absolute white space. And now, you try to move a little bit of your feet, but you can't. And you try to raise up your hands, but there is no space for you to even raise it up. You just notice you are in this right small room, and it's called the Rethink Room, which could only fit you. The walls are made by light panel. They never turn it off. For 10 hours already. Oh, no, maybe 11 hours already. You have no idea how long you have been here. It is 2041. They locked you up here because you share a picture from 20 years ago in the pandemic, which was called COVID-19. You were sent here to stay for 48 hours, sit still, and you cannot move. So you rethink what you have done, and you only share this photo from 20 years ago. And you know this is the truth, but it is called the fake history now. And you only want the world to know the truth, You know that you are not insane and you just want people to know what was happened in the past. You swear to yourself you would do anything to go back to 2021 and to stop things can happen to you like this. Right now, slowly open your eyes and you promise to yourself you won't let this happen. Thanks so much.
Wow. can we talk about this? Because wow, I was not expecting it, because I was just getting comfortable in this lightness, in this space, and then all of a sudden it really does do really strange things to your mind, because you do really start imagining that tiny space that you really are inside a cell that's like a box, and it's incredible. This is
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
I would really be curious to hear people's reaction, especially if it's done publicly in like an open space. When you do this with more people, it's fascinating. Such an interesting experience. Thank you so much.